So it doesn't look like we're going to be getting that Scream Factory Nightmare on Elm Street box set after all. But look, I gotta be honest, I'm not so sure that's a bad thing. Let's talk about it. Hey, what is up everybody, and welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. And I wanted to do kind of a free-flowing topic video today. It was something I wanted to go into on the Physical Media Report because the news broke over the weekend, but I was like, this is just too big of a topic. It's something I get comments and questions on all the time, and I just wanted to dive a little deeper into it. It's something that's been on all of our minds ever since we got this big, beautiful box set back in 2020, the Friday the 13th collection, which is $80 right now in the Shout sale and also on Amazon.com. But that is the potential Nightmare on Elm Street box set. Ever since we got this, all of us have just been salivating at the mouth. And isn't that funny how we get something so awesome like the Friday the 13th collection and we can't just enjoy that? We have to start thinking about what's to come after, like the Nightmare on Elm Street. But I mean, I'm guilty of it too. As soon as I got this box set, I'm like, man, this is awesome. But how awesome would it be to have all the Freddies on the side of it and all the different colors and stuff, and just thinking about all the things. They could put all the different Freddies on the side of this, Super Freddy, Snake Freddy, just all the different Freddy with the big long arms. It's just so many different Freddies they could do. There's so much stuff they could do with this box set, just having all the movies in it. It would be incredible. But look, that's what we were all thinking about. That's what we were all hoping for. And we thought, maybe, we got Friday the 13th this year. Maybe not next year, maybe in a couple years, we'll get the Nightmare on Elm Street box set. Well, here we are a couple of years later, and the Nightmare on Elm Street box set is nowhere to be found. And we got a IG live on the Scream Factory Instagram over the weekend, or maybe this was on Monday. I don't know when this was, but it was for the 10th anniversary of Scream Factory. So Scream Factory's been around for 10 years now, since 2012. So they did an IG live. And look, before we get into this, I guess I should tell you all to subscribe. But subscribe to the channel. We talk about physical media news, and I do Blu-ray and 4K reviews, and we just talk about physical media every single day on the channel. I do haul videos, unboxings, all that kind of stuff. If you like that stuff, owning the movies that you love, hit the subscribe button, and like this video, and also comment down below, guys. I want you to weigh in on this whole Nightmare on Elm Street box set. There may be a certain portion of you who just don't care. You're not a big fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street box set. You don't want it. You don't care about Scream Factory. It's not a big deal for you, and that's fine. But let me know in the comment section below if you do care and you want to see that Nightmare on Elm Street Scream Factory box set. But yeah, we're going to go into a variety of directions with this topic. So I got a lot on my mind when it comes to this. Let's get into the actual, news topic, and then we'll get into more of the discussion. I'm going to be all over the place with this, guys. I'm going to be honest. But yeah, they did the Scream Factory IG Live 10th anniversary. It was kind of funny. It was a girl that was moderating, but it was the two creators of the brand that she was kind of interviewing, or they were doing kind of like a Q&A on Instagram. It was Cliff McMillan and Jeff Nelson. So they're the creators of the brand, and they kind of deal with, seeking out all of these movies to add into the Scream Factory collection. So it was a very interesting interview. I actually listened to most of it, but if you go to their IG page, it's about 7-8 minutes into the interview, you can hear them talking about the Nightmare on Elm Street box set, because of course they're doing a Q&A, and the moderator, it's kind of funny, she comments on it. She's like, look, let's address the elephant in the room here. Everybody in this feed is blowing up about Nightmare on Elm Street Scream Factory box set, and they're like, yeah, we knew this was going to come up. And they said the honest truth is they've been trying.
Let's address the elephant in the room, what every single person is asking in the comments. Nightmare on Elm Street. Do you want to speak to it?
Yeah, and we knew it would come up. Hey, we would love nothing more than to put out a Nightmare on Elm Street set like we did for Friday the 13th and years ago with Halloween. We believe that franchise deserves that kind of treatment. We have tried, and at this point, we still just can't get to it.
And of course, you had to know they've been trying. Why wouldn't Scream Factory want to release a Nightmare on Elm Street box set? This isn't, I hear it all the time, people, why isn't Scream Factory releasing this? Why isn't Scream Factory releasing that? There's a lot that goes into acquiring the rights for this kind of stuff. And there are studios, they get a lot of this stuff from major studios. There are studios that just don't want to part with their big brands and franchises.
Now, I will say, to Cliff's credit, he is a persistent guy, and We just recently put out Child's Play 2 and 3 on 4K and Blu-ray for the first time for us. These are two titles that Cliff went after for years. Also recently this year, we put out Alligator, which I think was 5 or 7 years to try to get from somebody else in the company. So never say never, but unfortunately Nightmare on Elm Street isn't on the the lineup for next year or anything like that. But it's not like we won't keep trying.
Yeah. And how can you blame them? That's their money makers. Now, you can argue for Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, they haven't made a Nightmare on Elm Street movie in like 12 years. So what, if that's their moneymaker, if that's a franchise that they actually care about enough to not license out, then why aren't they doing something with it? But anyway, they said, so anyway, the Nightmare on Elm Street box set came up. They've been trying to get, and they just cannot make a deal with Warner Brothers because Warner Brothers still considers Nightmare on Elm Street an active franchise.
I mean, Warner Brothers, even though they haven't made a movie in many years, consider it an active franchise. And so they won't license something that's from an active franchise, which is what Universal told me for, at least 8 years on Child's Play. They said, hey, we're still making movies.
So again, what that tells me is, and also how long have they been trying? Have they been trying? I imagine they've been trying for quite some time. They might have been trying before they even did the Friday the 13th box set. This might be something that's been 4 or 5 years running because they talk about that. It's like some of the stuff that we've been trying to get for like 6, 7 years, like Child's Play 2 and 3, because they did Child's Play, I think, back in 2015, and naturally they wanted to do 2 and 3 right after it, and they couldn't do it. So they've been trying to get those for the longest time. Finally got them from Universal, and I mean, Child's Play, if anything, is still an active franchise. Child's Play is still an active franchise. They got a show, they got, Cult and Curse that came out in like the last 5 or 6 years. So that's an actual active franchise, but Universal parted ways with the Child's Play 2 and 3 and let them put out the 4Ks of that. So, but anyway, Nightmare on Elm Street, again, they made the remake in 2010. They did Freddy vs. Jason in 2003. And before that, I think it was 1994, A New Nightmare. So it's like, to me, since they've done a proper Nightmare on Elm Street movie with Robert Englund in the role as Freddy, I hate to be the guy that doesn't count the remake. I mean, it is a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, but it's just like in my mind, that thing doesn't exist. I'm just not a big fan of that. I haven't seen it since it came out, but God, I did not like that movie. So anyway, that's out of my mind. Let's say, it's been, God, almost 30 years. It's been almost 30 years since we've gotten a proper Nightmare on Elm Street movie with Robert Englund. And I'm not saying that's the only, thing that's going to make a Nightmare on Elm Street movie count, is having Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger. It definitely helps. And I really don't know how I'm going to take any Nightmare on Elm Street movie without Robert Englund. It's going to be very difficult, but it's been 30 years and they still consider it an active franchise. So what that tells me is that maybe, and I mean, how could they not? I mean, how could they not? How could Warner Brothers not have movies in development right now? But again, that's what that tells me, is that there are movies in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise in development. Of course, it's 2022. There's not a movie in development for Nightmare on Elm Street. There are movies in development for Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm sure they've gotten 4 movies planned out, or at least 3, a trilogy, because everything has a trilogy now. So I'm sure there is a Nightmare on Elm Street trilogy in development right now, and they're waiting to do the announcement. Who's going to get it? Who knows? Who's directing it? Who knows? Hopefully the Duffer Brothers are directing it, since they had such great Nightmare on Elm Street vibes in the recent season of Stranger Things. So anyway, it's not what I'm here to talk about, but you can expect probably Nightmare on Elm Street movies are probably in development. That's the reason why they don't want to let this go at this point in time. But anyway, back to Cliff and Jeff. As they're talking about it, they're just like, look, and they seem very disappointed when it's brought up. And they're like, look, we want to do this. It's like, we hear from the fans all the time they want this. It's like, we want to do it just as bad as you guys want it. But we just can't. We can't get it. And then they said that they're going to keep trying. They're very persistent, and they don't care to hear the words no. So the Scream Factory's going to keep trying to get this Nightmare on Elm Street box set, but it's not their fault that they can't get it. It's Warner Brothers that's not letting them get the rights to do it. And yeah, let's get into some of the reasons why I think that Warner Brothers, other than the fact that it's a active franchise, why they will not license this out to Scream Factory. Like I said, if they've been trying for like 3 or 4 years, has there been a Nightmare on Elm Street movie in the works for 3 or 4 years? Maybe they've been trying to make one for like 20 years. Who knows? But I honestly think that, and we're not really seeing this out of Warner Brothers, but we are out of Paramount, out of Lionsgate. Some of these studios are starting to realize, and again, this is just me speculating and talking, but it feels like some of these studios are starting to realize the power of the collector-focused physical media market. And they're starting to do more collector's editions, like we're seeing it with Paramount with that Paranormal Activity collection that's getting ready to come out, that almost Scream Factory looking box set they're getting ready to release. You got Lionsgate, you got Paramount releasing these awesome collector's edition steel books. And yeah, they're just doing some really cool stuff. I mean, even Sony's doing some really cool kind of collector's edition steel books, like Fright Night would have felt like a Scream Factory title, would have felt like an Arrow Video release, but Sony decided to do that one themselves. So you're starting to see studios, I feel like, kind of step up and realize like, hey, these boutique distributors are taking our franchises, they're taking our movies, and they're making a profit on them. Why don't we just do that ourselves? And I think that that's almost what's happening here with Nightmare on Elm Street. Warner Brothers is looking at it like, this is something that we could potentially do something with. So I think that that's one for sure. And also, and this kind of falls into the same line as these studios wanting to do it themselves, or Warner Brothers wanting to do it themselves, but Scream isn't, I don't think that Scream is asking to do a Blu-ray box set. I mean, this Blu-ray box set right here, like it's 2022. Like I feel like the last year that Blu-ray was truly relevant was probably 2020. We are 6 years into 4K, and with what Scream Factory has shown us in 2022, they don't really care about Blu-ray anymore. So I can almost guarantee you that they're not looking to do a Blu-ray box set of Nightmare on Elm Street with 4K scans like this one. They're looking to do 4Ks of a Nightmare on Elm Street. And I don't know if that means they're going to do it like the Halloween franchise and release Nightmare on Elm Street 1 through 4. And the next year they'll do 5 through Wes Craven's New Nightmare, or 5 through the remake if they want to do that one as well. And then do Freddy versus Jason as a 4K. Or just do them all at once in a big like 4K box set that looks like the Friday the 13th set. I don't know how they're going to roll it out, how they would release it. But I don't think that their plans are to do a Blu-ray box set of Nightmare on Elm Street at this point in time. I think their plans are to do a big 4K box set or release them all on 4K individually. And I don't think that Warner Brothers is having that, because I think that they see a Nightmare on Elm Street and they're like, look, we have the 40th anniversary of this movie coming up, and we're going to do The Exorcist as our big 4K release in 2023, because that's the 50th anniversary of that movie, and we're going to do Nightmare on Elm Street on 4K in 2024. And I think that they see that. They see the potential loss in profits in letting Scream Factory do 4Ks of their movies before they're ready to release them themselves. And of course, hopefully we don't just get a Nightmare on Elm Street from Warner Bros. Hopefully they decide to do the second one and the third one and the fourth one. There's a lot of money to be made there. So hopefully we see that in the future. But I think it's definitely a case of Warner Bros. Kind of looking at it like, this is something we could do ourselves. But also, another thing I was thinking about is Warner Brothers, again, I don't feel like they pay as much attention to the physical media market, but have they been seeing kind of the screw-ups of Scream Factory lately? Is that on anybody at Warner Brothers radar at all, that they've been seeing how maybe how they treated the Friday the 13th box set with all the disc replacement programs and stuff? And maybe they don't want their property in Scream Factory's hands. Maybe they're looking at somebody else. Maybe they're looking at a Vinegar Syndrome. Maybe they're looking at an Arrow Video. Maybe they're looking at somebody else to handle their franchise, which I think that Vinegar Syndrome, oh my God, it makes me almost salivate at the mouth to think about some of those Vinegar Syndrome slipcovers with some of the Nightmare on Elm Street images and stuff on them. It would just for them to do like a box set, like that would be huge for Vinegar Syndrome. That would be a real game changer for that company. So I would be incredibly just psyched to see them get a Nightmare on Elm Street. But anyway, this is all speculation. I could be completely wrong about this. I'm sure Warner Brothers doesn't give a shit about any of the boutique labels and doesn't really pay attention to anybody. But I don't know. Who knows? Vinegar Syndrome could be trying something behind the scenes. They could be talking to Warner Brothers. They'd be like, look, keep your stuff away from Scream Factory. They're a joke. They're falling off. We're the new game in town. Come to us. We will take care of your stuff. And Warner Brothers may be wanting to take them up on that offer. So I don't know. Either way you look at it, it's depressing. It is depressing to get that. And again, this isn't the final word. Scream Factory said they're still trying. They're going to keep trying to get this Nightmare on Elm Street deal in place. But I mean, don't look for this thing in 2023. Even at this point, 2024 even. I mean, maybe if they get the deal done within the next couple of months, but I don't see this happening. Again, I talked about this a couple of months ago. I think I did a video just talking about some of the stuff that I thought was going to come in October from Scream Factory, September, October. A lot of people thought Nightmare on Elm Street was coming this year. And I told everybody, I was like, look, it's not coming this year. I can almost guarantee you it's not coming this year. Maybe 2023, but more than likely 2024, because that's the 40th anniversary of the first film. So, but I mean, after this news, it's like, definitely don't expect it in 2023, probably not 2024. If they can get this deal in place in the next year, maybe 2025. But again, by that point, it's got to be a 4K box set for sure. By that point, it's like nobody's going to care about Blu-rays in 2025. By God. I mean, 4K hit the scene in 2016. And I mean, the boutique started to adopt it in 2020. And it's almost like everybody's just full force 4K at this point. So, Blu-ray box set of Nightmare on Elm Street, forget about it. It's gonna be 4K at this point. Yeah, it's disappointing. It's really disappointing. It's like a franchise this big. We've got all of these. I don't want to talk trash about other movies and stuff, but there's just so many trash horror films that have already gotten a 4K release. It's just ridiculous, and we cannot get some proper 4K Blu-ray scans on a Nightmare on Elm Street, even a Blu-ray with a 4K scan even, just some nice scans. And all we have right now, guys, again, I have this A Nightmare on Elm Street Blu-ray right here that I bought. It was one of the first Blu-rays I ever bought because I love this movie. I'm just a huge fan of the franchise. But, all we got is that 7-film Blu-ray set with a compressed disc. I think there's like 2 movies on each disc. It's like, I haven't even bought that. I've been rocking this DVD set that I bought in 2004. Since I bought it in 2004, this is what I have. This is what, if I want to watch, Dream Warriors, I'll watch this. I'll watch the DVD. If I want to watch Dream Master, I'll watch the DVD. It's like, I don't want to buy that set because I just feel like somebody's going to do a box set or something at some point. I mean, it just feels ridiculous for somebody not to. I might just end up breaking down and getting that Blu-ray set because I just want to watch them in HD. It's just depressing. It's like this year, I feel like I've been watching a lot of Friday the 13th because of the box set in the last couple of years. I've been watching a lot of Halloween. Obviously, we had the 4Ks last year, new 4Ks this year. But I just want to watch some Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm really in the mood to watch some Nightmare on Elm Street, but it's like watching DVDs at this point is like watching VHSs like 5 years ago before I started getting into 4Ks. It's almost unwatchable. It's like I didn't used to think of DVDs like that, but it's like I watched a couple of DVDs this year, and it's like both experiences were just not great. They just were not great. So I might end up buying that Blu-ray box set for now. It's all we got at this point. It's just really sad. It's really depressing. We need proper treatments for this franchise. We need a proper 4K treatment, Blu-ray with 4K scans, whatever they do. Again, I think at this point, it's kind of pointless to not just go ahead and do these movies in 4K. But God, could you imagine Freddy's Dead in 4K? I would love it. I would love it. Again, I love all these movies. I love them all. I don't care what anybody says about any of them. I love all of them. I think my least favorite is probably Freddy's Revenge, and that's because it's not in line with the continuity of the rest of the franchise. I still like the movie a lot, but it's always been my least favorite other than the remake. But again, I would love to see all these movies with proper 4K scans, proper Blu-ray 4K treatment, but it just doesn't feel like that's in the cards anytime soon. Again, I don't know what Warner Brothers plans are. Maybe they're doing a box set themselves. Wouldn't that be awesome? Like, I would love to see Warner Brothers step up and do a Nightmare on Elm Street 4K box set. Are you kidding me? I don't really care at this point who it comes from. In fact, to be honest with you, I don't even know if I want Scream Factory to do it because there would be so many screw-ups and mess-ups, and they would just disc replacement programs and greasy cases, and just the discourse around it would be insane. They would mess something up. It's almost guaranteed. So I almost don't want them to do it. Just have Warner Brothers does great 4Ks. They do great work on their 4Ks, so they would do a spectacular job. It's just a matter of them actually taking the time to step up and do it. is the problem. But I mean, if they actually did it, like, it would be incredible. If they gave it to Vinegar Syndrome, it would be incredible. Arrow Video, it would be incredible. But yeah, it's almost to the point, yeah, I would get excited if Scream Factory dropped the announcement they were doing it. But it's kind of at this point, that's the choice that I like the least. Like, I would love to see Warner Bros. Do this. I just don't feel like they're gonna step up to do it. But look, I've been rambling long enough. I told you guys this is gonna be a rambling video. I want to know your thoughts on this whole Scream Factory, Nightmare on Elm Street, Instagram Live thing that they did. Do you think this is complete BS? Do you think that they have a Nightmare on Elm Street in their back pocket and they're getting ready to drop this thing in February or March? Let me know all that in the comment section below. I don't think it's BS. I do think they're being genuine with this, but look, like this video, comment down below your thoughts, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description. And yeah, guys, doesn't look like we're getting Freddy anytime soon, but you'll be getting more of me soon. So I'll see you next time.